Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Mica Burton.
Last year, Konami was the bad guy of the Game Awards for banning Hideo Kojima from attending, but Nintendo may have one-upped them this year by blacklisting 2 fan-made video games from being eligible for awards.
Leave it up to Nintendo to figure out new ways to innovate. Pitchforks are coming out all across the internet after it was discovered that 2 fan-made Nintendo projects may have been quietly removed from getting top honors at next month's industry event, both of which Nintendo had already shut down earlier this year.
First you cancel their development, then you stop them from getting accolades. Come on, that's just like doubling down on the evil villain status. After Pokemon comes out, we really want to like you. The 2 games in question are Project AM2R, a loving full-color HD remake of the Game Boy's Metroid 2 Return of Samus, and Pokemon Uranium, a completely fan-made Pokemon title that took 9 years to create.
It's a lot of years, guys.
That's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years. When the Game Awards released their huge list of nominees last week, both AM2R and Uranium were nominated under Best Fan Creation category, which is described as mods, fan films, and other player content. Also nominated were Brutal Doom 64, the gory remade port of Doom 64 back to the PC, and Enderall, the total conversion mod for Skyrim that adds anywhere from 30 to 150 hours of gameplay.
But that's not the case anymore because it looks like the list was stealthily updated over the weekend and no longer includes AM2R or Pokemon Uranium.
Sorry modders, your award is in another castle.
Aww.
Considering Nintendo's prior history with both AM2R and Pokemon Uranium, and really fan projects in general, the general speculation online is that Nintendo might have officially blacklisted the games from appearing on the show.
The Game Awards haven't released a list of sponsors for this year's event, but Nintendo did serve as a backer for last year's event, meaning that if they're backing it again this year, they could have, threatened their sponsorship if the Game Awards didn't pull the 2 games from the list of nominees, or at the very least exerted some kind of pressure.
Which becomes just a little problematic, since one of the claims of the Game Awards website is that game publishers and developers have no involvement in the selection of nominees or winners. But if Nintendo is behind the removal of AM2R and Project Uranium, that's not exactly the case.
Now, it is worth noting how much this potential blacklisting contrasts with publisher Bethesda, who celebrated Brutal Doom 64's nomination on the official Doom account, and Enderall's nomination on Bethesda's official account as well.
But given how hard Nintendo laid the smackdown on AM2R and Uranium before, none of this is too surprising. AM2R got the Hyper Beam from Nintendo back in August when its creators launched it for Metroid's 30th anniversary.
Yeah, shut down on Samus' birthday. That's harsh.
Insult to injury, man.
AM2R was a 16-bit refresh with an original soundtrack that's been over 8 years in the making and even included new gameplay mechanics. However, as these things normally go, Nintendo hit the creators with a DMCA takedown to remove the game from their site. They also, because that wasn't enough, hit up any file sharing site where the download appeared.
Aggressive. All that was made even worse by the fact that Nintendo basically did nothing for Metroid's 30th birthday, although they did release a really shitty Metroid game on the 30th that same month, so happy birthday.
We're pretending that game doesn't exist. Just a couple of weeks after the launch and subsequent shutdown of Project AM2R, Pokemon Uranium launched after 9 years in development. In the brief window before its own DMCA-ification, it managed to pull down 1.5 million downloads. Now it's got a huge user base. The developer has said they'll continue to support the game through updates even though no one new can download it because of that whole pesky DMCA.
But of course, that's barely even scratching the surface when it comes to Nintendo's aggressive stance on fan-made projects, and they have been associated with accusations of strong-arming sponsorship in the past with other unofficial fan games as well. Last year, Project M, a super popular competitive mod that made Smash Bros. Brawl play more like Smash Bros. Melee, was removed from the Apex Gaming Tournament's official schedule just weeks before Nintendo joined as an official sponsor. Project M is basically relegated to side fan events now, with many speculating that Nintendo put the pressure on other tournament organizers as well.
Now, when you add that to all the other fan-made projects they've shut down over the years, which would be just way too many to list, seeing as how just a couple months ago they canned more than 500 freeware games all at once, it doesn't seem like too much of a stretch to think that Nintendo may have tried to pull that same business here with the Game Awards.
So it seems like we can't go 1 year without some Game Awards controversy. Last year it was Kojima getting banned from attending the show by Konami.
Those dickheads.
Those dickheads, right?
I mean, it was there and they wouldn't let him go and receive an award for Metal Gear's his swan song with the company.
That's so rude. And now it's Nintendo's banning fan-made games from getting rewards. Just piling on the douchebaggery. Although considering Nintendo is a sponsor...
Potentially. We don't know that they're a sponsor. They haven't announced any sponsors.
It's hard to imagine Jeff Keighley will be calling them out the same way he did Kojima's former bosses, and oh boy, did he call them out.
Now, while Konami was the bad guy of last year's event, this move by Nintendo, it could actually be considered worse because it's not a company going after a creator, it's a company going after its own fans. And with mods and player-created content like this, the category specifically says non-official stuff. I mean, sometimes this kind of recognition is the only reward you get. It's not like you can sell those fan-made projects. All these people do it out of love.
On the other hand, it is Nintendo's IP and they can protect it however they see fit. It certainly doesn't look great for the brand to have these two fan-made games getting main stage promotion, which are basically direct competition to the two real games that Nintendo has released in the last few months. Still, this goes beyond the typical issuance of a C&D or DMCA.
Although, just to play devil's advocate, because we're supposed to be fair, the removal of AM2R and Pokemon Uranium could have been an oversight on the part of the Game Awards. It's entirely possible that they axed them without any involvement from Nintendo because they discovered the DMCA. And if those things were taken down, if they kind of don't exist anymore, are they still eligible for an award?
Yeah.
It's a legitimate question.
Legal
but
loopholes.
Given Nintendo's track record, I mean, it's kind of hard to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
We'll have to see who takes home the most honors and which fan projects win in the absence of Project AM2R and Pokemon Uranium when the Game Awards are live on December 1st.
What do you guys think of Nintendo potentially blacklisting two fan projects from receiving awards? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on Nintendo putting the Goomba Stomp on fan projects, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
Where was the cake?
Come
Where
on.
were the candles?
Where was anything?
Where was the new game?
They barely even acknowledged it on social media, which is just for shame.
Rude.
For shame.
Luigi got an entire year.
A year.
Guess who's getting an award there this year for Lifetime Achievement?
Konami?
Kojima.
Kojima? That's what I meant?